We're in Zambia with Chris Zimba,
Yes.
and he has had tons of supernatural experiences on both sides, on the angelic God side and on the demonic side. And
hmm
so we'll hear some of his stories today. I actually don't know what's coming. What story would you like to share?
Okay. I think one of the things that people need to know is that the supernatural world is real.
Yes.
It's real. It's very, very real. And there's a lot of activity that takes place in the supernatural world. That's the first thing that people need to know. And if anybody thinks it doesn't exist, it does. Actually, there is a supernatural world. So, like you said in your opening remarks, I've had supernatural experiences on the light side and the dark side of things. So I have a number of them that I would want to share. But maybe let me start with this one. This again happened when I was in college. That should be way back to 2002. Yeah, 2002. I was part of a students' fellowship at school. We call it the Zambia Fellowship for Evangelical Students. And we used to meet every Friday from 7 p.m. to I think 9 p.m. every Friday. And so one of these days after our meeting, we we left. All of us left. Now, prior to that, there were some things that were happening in college, some demonic activities that were happening in college. Sometimes in the middle of the night, you have a student screaming
Oh, wow.
and running, down the corridor. And when you ask them, they'll tell you somebody was, um, people call it sleep apnea. That's what they call it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but then there are activities that happen in the demonic world,
Yeah.
which is not really scientific. It's just demonic activity. If it's one person, then you say, he probably has a health condition. But if you're having multiple people in this dormitory and the next hostel, somebody's screaming, and then the next hostel, then you know there's really something that's going on around here, which is
Yeah.
beyond the natural. And that's what was happening. So, because of that, one time it happened, and I told my friend, I said, you know what, we've had enough of this. That was like 2 in the morning. Can we go to pray? So we
Yeah.
went to pray. We had a lecture hall which we used to use for our morning devotion. So we went to this lecture theater somewhere around 2 or 3 in the morning, and we
Wow.
prayed all the way up to somewhere around 5.
Wow.
And that's
That's
how,
dedication.
yeah, a lot actually, a lot for a college student.
Oh my gosh.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So we made it our habit. We said, okay, we'll be coming because devotion starts at 5. So actually, devotion used to start at 5:30, but we'd be there at 5.
Yeah.
And then from 5, let's be coming at 4:30.
Wow.
Then let's be coming at 4.
Wow.
And before we know it, we'd be there sometimes as early as 3:30.
Wow.
Just spend time in prayer all the way up to 5:30 when all the students come, and we have devotion for
That's
30 minutes.
amazing.
And then we go to our various activities. So it was during that period that after a fellowship, our Friday fellowship, which used to start from 7 to 9 p.m., everybody was going, and I was part of the group. As I was walking, I even remember I kind of looked up, and there was like this conviction within me to go back to the room where we were praying from. So I went back. I just told the guys, excuse me, I have to go back to do something. They didn't know where I had gone. And this building we were using for fellowship was, the room must have been on the 5th or 6th floor. So I went back up the stairs up to the 5th or 6th floor and started praying. Now, when we left, we closed the windows. Okay?
Yeah.
Closed the windows and the doors. So I just opened the door. I was alone. It was very quiet. Nobody's at the lecture theaters at that particular time. Few people studying in their rooms, and it's a Friday. You know how it is with students, especially here on Fridays. No student is in the hostel really.
Right.
They are out
Yeah.
clubbing or whatever. So it was very quiet in that place, in that section of the campus. And I began to pray. If you ask me today what I was praying about and what I was praying for, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But all I remember is I was kneeling down.
Yeah.
and facing east. And there were windows there,
Yeah.
closed ones.
Yes.
Okay. Then suddenly there was a mighty wind again. Remember, I shared in the previous video about the mighty wind, but this one was a different type. Okay. I actually haven't shared
No,
that.
you just
No,
shared it with me
I shared
personally.
it with you in
Yeah.
person. Or maybe I'll share it in the next video. So there's a rushing wind, a mighty wind, and the windows open, like literally. When wind is coming from outside,
Yeah.
the windows can't open outward.
Right.
They're supposed to maybe break or anything. Unless the wind is coming from inside,
Right.
then the windows can open outward.
Yeah.
What was strange is the wind came from outside
Yeah.
and the windows opened.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Like 1, 2, 3, 4 windows. Whew, they just flew open.
Yeah.
So now I'm kneeling there and my eyes are closed and I'm saying to myself, something is happening here. I don't know if this is God or it's demonic activity.
Yeah.
I'm kneeling there. I'm so tempted to open my eyes and see.
Yeah.
But I feel like the Spirit of the Lord is telling me, do not.
Okay.
So I'm just kneeling there with my eyes closed, just kneeling. And this wind comes and starts going like around me, like
Wow.
literally around me.
Yeah.
But there's something violent about it, which I don't like.
Violent.
Yes,
Okay.
extremely violent,
Yeah.
which I don't like.
Yeah.
But when that is happening, I'm so tempted to open my eyes.
Yeah.
And the Spirit of the Lord still says, do not.
Okay.
So I'm not praying anymore. I've stopped praying.
Yeah.
I'm kneeling there. There's this like a whirlwind around me,
Yeah.
a very violent.
Were you kind of scared?
Yes,
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah.
I was. And now in retrospect, I thank God that every time I had the temptation to open my eyes, I was told, do not.
Yeah.
Do not. So when that happens now, the wind sort of settles, but there's this. It was very violent. Whatever was happening, I was afraid. I didn't know what had happened because the wind just came, started going around me, and then stopped. Like it's not that it's because we have different seasons here in
Yeah.
Zambia. And one season we have, which is somewhere between July, August, and September, is a very windy season.
Yeah.
It wasn't July, it wasn't August, it wasn't September. It was one of those months where it's calm.
Yeah.
You don't expect wind anyhow.
Even if it were part of the windy season, to
Yeah.
have it inside
Yeah.
swirling around you is not normal.
It's not normal.
Yeah.
So I open now. At this point, I'm really tempted to open my eyes. I open my eyes because now that voice that's telling me not to
Yeah.
doesn't tell me.
Okay.
I was afraid, I guess. Maybe I shouldn't have opened my eyes. So I opened my eyes and there's this figure standing.
Oh.
Yes. In the room where I am.
Wow.
With how do you describe that? You know a sickle? The one that you use for harvesting.
Oh yeah, the
yes.
sickle thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So with an instrument that looks like a sickle,
Yeah.
but with a handle like an axe.
Oh.
Okay.
Wow.
So it looks like a sickle because it makes this shape of a sickle.
Yeah.
But it's got a handle like an axe.
Huh.
And this figure, scary figure, is standing right in front of me.
Yeah.
With this instrument in the hands.
Ooh.
So the position in which I was kneeling,
yeah,
was the same position that people would be when they're about to be beheaded.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
So now I see this figure in front of me. I'm now more afraid.
Yeah.
Again, the voice says, do not move.
Mm.
So I sit there and I'm waiting, and this figure has this instrument in its hands, literally lifting it.
Wow.
And I'm in a kneeling position like I'm about to be beheaded. Suddenly there's a second wind. A very mighty wind which literally comes and same, style goes round me. But this one now, when it goes round me, on the other side where I am kneeling, this side there's this figure with a sickle. This side, on the other side, appears another figure. in a different outfit, because this one was in a dark outfit.
Yeah.
This one in a very bright outfit. The size of the sword in the hand was like 2 to 3 meters.
Wow. Huh. That's huge.
Yeah, that was the size of the sword. And he holds it like this.
Yeah.
Literally comes like, goes round and then stops and holds the sword like this. Immediately he comes, the figure which was on this side disappears.
Wow.
Just like that.
Huh. That's amazing.
Just like that, disappears. The one that came with the sword comes behind me,
Yeah.
and I hear a voice within me, continue praying.
Wow.
So I continue from where I'd stopped, and all this time I am praying. This figure is standing behind me, holding this huge sword, 2 to 3 meters. You know the feeling I had was, imagine a 2 or 3 year old child having the father stand behind him or her.
Yeah.
You see the proportions in size?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I continue praying for an hour or two. When I leave that place, I can still feel this presence behind me,
Wow.
walking with me back to my hostels.
Wow. That's awesome.
I went to my hostels and never shared with anyone. I just slept.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Huh.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to ask the
No.
angel to come or anything.
No.
You didn't command the thing to go.
No.
God just was
It
like,
was,
yeah.
you know, when God says be still and know,
Hmm.
I experienced that be still part.
Yeah.
It's not easy. We are human beings, you know. Even when they say we're observing a minute of silence, if there's no timer, it's rarely a minute,
Yeah.
because silence always seems longer.
Mm.
It does.
Yeah.
Waiting always seems longer. And when God says, don't open your eyes, it's a question of trusting Him.
Yeah.
It's really a question of trusting Him. Like, I can feel there's an evil presence in this place.
Yeah.
And you keep on telling me not to open my eyes. And He says, do not open your eyes. So when I finally open my eyes and I see this, then He says, don't move.
Yeah.
Because He knows what He's going to do. He's
Right.
already dispatched His angels.
Yeah.
He's already done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have been tempted to start commanding it to go in the name of Jesus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, just out of fear. I mean, that's generally what I do when I feel an evil presence. I start commanding it to go. But then you wouldn't have gotten to experience the other side of it.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
And you know, like we have the authority of a believer.
Yeah.
I always believe in that, and I always teach on understanding the authority of a believer.
Mm.
And normally, the example that I use back here is an example of a traffic officer. Traffic officers, these guys sometimes will mount up a checkpoint on the road.
Yeah.
Okay, and they have this uniform which says Zambia Police or Road Traffic and Safety Agency, which are the most feared in our country by drivers and the most effective, by the way. So they wear this uniform for Road Transport and Safety Agency. And because of the uniform they are putting on, they have authority. Yeah. That's what gives them authority. If they went on that checkpoint putting on this maroon t-shirt and putting on in black jeans and try to stop a 16-wheeler, it will not stop.
Right.
Because they're not operating in their authority.
Yeah.
But the moment they put on that uniform and stand on the road and mount this checkpoint and lift up their hand, the 16-wheeler driver is not obeying necessarily the person, but the authority that they are representing on the road. And that's how it is with us as believers. And I tell people, you can walk in an environment which is demon infested. And the demons will respond. Let me share this with you. What this happened to me, a short one, just to emphasize this authority that we have. Yeah. I was traveling from the eastern part of Zambia to Lusaka. That's about 570 k's. Very early in the morning, I had my moment of prayer, then rushed to the bus station and jumped on the bus. I was like one of the last passengers to get on the bus. So I get on this bus. It had no entertainment, nothing. So I sat there bored, for a while. Then I decided, why don't I start reading a book? So I pulled out a book and started reading it. It was a book by some South African politician. Then I got bored again, put the book away. What am I going to read? Then I remembered I had a small pocket-sized New Testament Bible. So I pulled it out and began to read it. I was sitting next to the aisle, okay? And there was a lady, not directly opposite, but behind.
Yeah.
Okay? So I needed to twist a bit to look at her.
Yeah.
We had only driven for like 30 minutes. So I'm reading my Bible and I just want to scan around and see who's on the bus. So I turn and look at her and she screams.
Oh.
Then I look away.
Wow.
And we drive for 2-3 minutes and I'm bothered. What happened? So I turn again and look at her and she screams for the second time.
Oh my gosh.
Now, I was a little bit younger then. And like I told you, I used to get very excited with exercising spiritual authority, sometimes with a lack of wisdom.
Yeah.
When you're just beginning to experience these things. So now I said, every time I look at her, she's screaming every time. So I'm going to look at her and fix my gaze on her.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. So now I literally turned and looked at her like this. And she started screaming, throwing herself around.
Oh, wow.
Jumped off her seat and was trying now to get under the seat of the bus. And this was a big woman, by the way. She's really trying to force herself to get under the seat of that bus.
Wow.
So the driver stops the bus. And everybody comes now is wondering, they're wondering what's going on. And I'm just looking at her because I know I'm responsible for that commotion. And she's screaming and rolling on the floor and everything. So with my hands literally like this, I say, in the name of Jesus, I command you to shut up.
Wait, say that a little louder.
So
I don't know.
said, in the name of Jesus,
yeah,
I command you to shut up.
Yeah.
And the moment I said, shut up, she was screaming, this just went up.
Wow.
Got up
Yeah.
and sat on the chair.
Wow.
So the doctor asks her, what happened? He said, there's somebody on this bus who's not okay. That's what she said. Somebody on this bus is not okay. So I said, for the sake of us moving, I'll not look at her.
Yeah.
So we drove all the way from the east to Lusaka. That's 570 kilometers. I got off the bus and I was proceeding to another city in Zambia. So I went to board this bus and I'm told it's full. So wait for the next one. So I said, fine. So I got on this bus, which was the next one, sat by the door. So from Lusaka to Ndola, Ndola is like 350 kilometers from here. So I got on this bus. I was the first passenger, first passenger. I sat right by the door with my bag on my laps. Guess who comes to the bus? The same woman.
Oh, wow.
So she came and put her foot onto the first step and went like, ah! And went back. So now the guys that work at the station and the bus owners like, this is the next bus to Ndola. She refused to get on it.
Wow.
She said, I'll wait for the next one.
Wow.
But that just shows you the authority that we have as believers, that we can literally walk in an environment and demons just begin to respond without saying anything.
Wow.
That's why when Jesus went to what is a place called, where he found the demoniac, who upon saying Jesus screamed, what do you want with us? Jesus, Son of God. The demons were able to recognize Jesus even before he said anything.
Yeah.
They were able to recognize him. That's the authority of a believer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it must have to do with you soaking yourself in prayer so much.
Yeah. It has everything to do with that. It has everything to do with soaking yourself in prayer, carrying the presence of God, but also being aware. And I think that's where we miss it as children of God. The awareness.
Yeah.
One of the things that made a difference in the ministry and the life of Jesus Christ was his awareness of the presence of the Father with him. That made a huge difference. Just his awareness that the Father was with him.
Wow.
Just that.
Yeah.
And we need to be aware. That has happened to me twice, actually. What I just shared with you.
Wow.
Twice. Yeah.
Very cool.
Long distance trip and local trips.
That's amazing. Huh. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
We'll start another one.
Yeah,
and
sure.
There's more to come.